These are the voyages of big trucks and low bucks. And I'm traveling through Bozeman, Montana, where in the future, in the Star Trek universe, warp drive is first developed. It's always been a goal of humankind to go faster, and the same is true for those of us in the motorsports scene. Granted, we may not have warp drive, dilithium crystals, or for that matter, antimatter, but we people on the planet Earth, from the backwoods and the wheat fields, make do with the fuels and the technology that we have available to us present day.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Trekkie from way back, so my biggest Star Trek line would be, "Beam me up, Scotty."
Is there any character on Star Trek you would identify with, and why?
Oh, Scotty, I would say. The guy that you would think that if he's not working, he's probably drunk. Can fix just about anything. Yells at his boss a lot. Probably complains a lot.
Bones. I definitely relate to Bones. He had a real dry sense of humor, kind of a smart ass. Yeah, I definitely liked him.
Yeah, I like the new Kirk. He's kind of a renegade, kind of a shoot from the hip kind of guy, and I think I admire that about him. And I see myself doing that a lot, just doing oddball stuff that the normal person would be afraid of, like taking chances and risks. I'm more of a risk taker than most people I know. That's probably why I'm broke half the time too. Yeah, James Tiberius Kirk, that would be me.
Some miles back on my voyage home from Texas and Oklahoma, I had a red alert and I had to change a tire on my trailer. Tire looked a little low when I put it on, made it to the next gas station with air, and I air it up. I also seem to have some sort of timeline continuity error, having posted Big Trucks, Low Bucks episodes 1 and 2, and then jumping to 18 on YouTube. I suppose this could be explained by some sort of spatial anomaly, or a gap in the space-time continuum. But hey, in the Star Trek universe, we can travel to the past or the future, right? So, I'm gonna go warp speed ahead back onto the freeway, headed home through Big Sky Country here in Montana. While we look to the skies and do some time traveling to some clips and things in the future. So let's find out in this video a little about humankind's desire to go faster, the drive to compete, and how some of the technology of today might seem futuristic to who we were in the recent past.
But somehow I'd say that in a flash, we've been knocked 1,000 light years away from where we were.
990.7 light years to be exact, Lieutenant.
Looks like we've time warped into the future or something.
Into the future?
Yeah.
I need to turn my shirt inside out. I enjoy the new Star Trek, the new movies, tremendously.
In relation to Star Trek, when the Enterprise launches and takes off and just turns into a blur, that's what it feels like driving my truck.
You haven't achieved Warp 9 yet?
Not yet, still on Warp 3.
Warp 3?
Yes.
Well, you might need a little more in your dilithium crystals or something.
Back in the day when I was mud racing, it was just a matter of, okay, how fast can I make this pile of junk that I've got thrown together? How fast can I get it to go with very little money?
I like sci-fi in general. And anytime you involve anything mechanical, whether it's some type of vehicle, and that would be what the Enterprise is. The Enterprise is just a super glorified electronic truck for traveling, and and the struggles they go to keep it going all the time, and how it always pulled through to save them, and
Wait, who's the bigger Star Trek fan?
I am actually, yeah, but she's involved now. She's
Involved.
yeah, she's liking the old Captain Kirk. He was a sexy man.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Got a little crush on Captain Kirk?
Spock, actually.
Oh, you like Spock? You like the logic of the situation.
Mysterious, yeah.
The mysterious Mr. Spock.
The favorite one was when Spock was he had to go back home or whatever. He was all grumpy on the spaceship, and they wouldn't turn it around. And yeah, that was one of our favorite episodes.
Got all emotional, smashed a computer even.
Yes, he did.
Spock rage.
Spock rage.
Yeah. So are you gonna achieve warp speed anytime here soon?
You know, it's a possibility.
To me, the appeal of competition is to just see how a person can stack up against the best and the best of the best.
I think as humans in general, I think everybody always wants to be the top dog.
More adrenaline.
One word, testosterone.
Egos. I don't know. I think everybody, whether you say it or not, everybody wants to be better than the next guy. I mean, that's a natural thing. I think on the race course, that's a good place to have that feeling. I don't think it needs to be in the workplace or on the street when you're driving around next to you and somebody's got shinier wheels than you do. I think it needs to be on, in some sort of sanctioning, and I think then it's very, very healthy. I think it gets out of hand, but that natural desire to be better than the next guy, egos.
Everybody wants to be the fastest guy in the camp, the guy that basically carries all the glory at the end of the day. And I'm pretty sure that that's always been what humans have strived for in every form.
Competition to me brings out parts of me that I didn't know I had.
It's bragging rights.
Well, it's just accomplishment.
And in my case, a mild retardation.
Racing is one of many ways we humans compete, but there is also always the inborn, and as Spock may say, savage instinct to win in other ways of competition.
Come on, kick his ass! Come on!
In this corner, 185 pounds. Oh, yeah! Going for the 50. Somebody hold my hair back.
I'm online trying to book some flight tickets for my cousin Ruby to fly out of Canada. While I'm negotiating this, let's talk to some about what makes people want to compete, what makes people want to get involved in these sorts of races or competitions, and what's fun about it.
What's fun about it? The competition, the camaraderie between the racers. It's just a lot of fun. I love horsepower. Horsepower is a big part of it. Hearing the rev of an engine, you know, lining up next to the guy next to you, and you got to beat him to the end. You know, that's what it's all about.
Mostly it's just the guys that you hang out with. You get close friends with the racers that are all into it for the same reason that everybody else is. We're all after one thing, and when we're broke down, everybody pitches in to help race each other.
You know, I guess it would be people coming together, trying to help each other. That's one thing that really drives me, is seeing who has your back and who doesn't, and in return, returning the favors all the time. There's always going to be teams or individuals that you don't get along with, but when it comes down to it, I think they might still have your back over somebody else, I'd hope. Other than that, I think it's just the need for speed. Get out of the house, the smell of the fuel, the testosterone.
Get to meet different people, make new friends.
Have an awesome time. And it's all about winning.
No, it's not all about winning. It's all about having fun and the adrenaline rush. And
explain the adrenaline rush for people that don't experience it.
I get shaky and my armpits itch.
Well, but I mean, what's fun about driving really fast through a mud pit?
No.
You get to get muddy, and the truck gets muddy, and then you get other people muddy, and all that stuff. You mostly get muddy.
Yes, you get muddy.
Egos are what make people race.
And, you know, being the guy that had the fastest run of the day or made a full pull in the bounty hole, end of the season points winner, you know, those are all bragging rights. And I believe as humans, that's just what we've always strived for. You know, everybody wants to have the fame, everybody wants to have the glory. And it just so happens that in this particular area, it's just a lot of fun can be had during that. So why not? You know, why not have a bunch of fun and at the end of the season be able to stand back and say, yeah, you know, I was the fastest guy in my class, and you know, I got the most points, or you know, I took the most bounty holes this year. Why wouldn't you want to do that? You know, I think that's just human nature.
You know, you run against these guys that if they put you on a trailer early, you go back to shop and do something better. Each race you learn something. Each race you got more seat time, you experience. You just try to better your truck every time you race.
There are many forms of racing, many forms of competing that test our limits and our abilities. In the off-road and the racing world, we tend to create these obstacles or force ourselves to take the hard path, to see if we can overcome the challenges, and to see how we can do not only against the others, or against the terrain and the course, or against the clock and the time, but against ourselves. To test ourselves and see if we can say, I can do this. When life's basic needs are met, our natural instincts of survival surface to overcome what is in front of us. Why drive through a mud pit or over a rock? Perhaps the answer is because it's there.
I'm just a competitive person, and I always have been. I'm racing against myself, more or less. Where I place is where I place. Obviously, I try to do good, but I don't really care about the strokes or this or that. I just want to do the best I can, and I race against myself.
The general consensus, regardless of your motivations to compete, is to be the quickest, the fastest, and the best. Through machines and technology, we build things to be faster and better than anyone else, and in racing, it's done in different ways.
In this day and age, the way technology has progressed, there's just so many options, whether you want to throw boost at something, you know, because there's so many forms to do that. You want to do nitrous, cubic inch, high RPMs, torque, horsepower. I would have to say that if I was to build something nowadays, it'd probably be something with a turbo, go boost with some high RPMs. Would be what I would say is the best way to go fast.
You know, I do a little bit of everything on different vehicles that I have. My mud truck, I like to have instantaneous horsepower, so compression would be my ticket to horsepower. My Regal is a street burner, and it gets good mileage, and I like to put turbos on it.
Mine's a naturally aspirated carbureted motor. It's a 472 cubic inch, big block Ford, 600 lift cam, ported and polished, heads, intake, block decked, heads milled. It builds pretty good power. 12.65 to 1 compression.
Have you ever run nitrous?
No, the motor's built for nitrous, but I have never put it on.
Back in the day, I ran a 60 overboard 427 that was almost 14 to 1 compression with a great big cam. You know, that's what I found to be the best recipe for horsepower, you know, years ago when I was mud racing. I did have a set up for nitrous for it. I never put on just because it kind of scared me back then.
It's a pump gas motor, low compression, big cubic inch, lots of torque.
Race fuels, 396. It's got, you know, good stuff in it. That what the 396 can hold. A lot of guys run a bigger displacement. I like to see what I can get out of a small, big block.
Choice for sure is a Chevy LS platform, whether it's, you know, car or truck based. It's all kind of the various similarities within them. They make great power and they're reliable. There's a lot of them around. You can buy parts for them. They make great power. They're tunable. They're injected. That's I mean, I don't know, out in our shop today, there's probably 6 of them going in different vehicles out there. Everything I really do, I've done some turbo stuff. Turbos build a lot of heat. Forced induction builds a lot of heat. We're always fighting heat issues on a long race. We have the best luck with a naturally aspirated, you know, big compression motor. And we're not going huge. A lot of the stuff that I'm personally involved in is, you know, 4, 5, 6, 700. A lot of guys in other aspects are 8, 9,000, 1,500, you know, but you're getting forced induction usually. And that kind of horsepower isn't going to live for 10 hours at wide open throttle.
It's a 2004 GMC Denali 5.3 with the cam, aftermarket cam, Brian Tooley camshaft and spring kit with the titanium retainers, ARP head studs, good head gaskets, and we're actually running a carburetor on it, and MSD box, and a nitrous plate.
What made you go back to a carburetor?
It's what we had. At the time we were putting it together, it was a financial thing, but we didn't have any of the fuel injection parts or computer or harness, and we had a carburetor and some other stuff, so it was cheaper to just buy a couple of things and make it carbed.
So you were missing the fuel injection, so you kind of went from the next generation back to the original series.
Yep, we went to a better engine and then we screwed it all up with a carburetor.
And Captain, notice the chronometers, they've started backward.
Sometimes updated technology surpasses the old, but the old doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't work anymore. Going back to the past of old ways of doing things to someone somewhere is still the present way of doing it, depending on our resources. But let's slow down for a moment and go back in time and imagine what things we have currently today that would seem futuristic to us back then.
Just the suspension technology now is light years ahead of what we were playing around with 15 years ago.
We were building trucks that were tall, and there wasn't a lot to make trucks ride good. I mean, trucks that drove down the road didn't have a lot of wheel travel.
I mean, 15 years ago, guys were just starting to get into doing 4-links. I mean, there was only a couple companies making coil-over shocks, and nobody could afford those.
These days, there's so much aftermarket support and several shock companies, available parts, available sway bar kits, and many different types of shocks, coilovers or air shocks and bypass shocks. A lot more available stuff now.
Now we're able to have a truck that drives down the road, a diesel truck that you can tow with that has 10, 15, 20 inches of wheel travel. You can still tow a fifth wheel if you need. And what that's come from is progression in your suspension travel, whether it's from a progressive spring or a progressive shock package or some integration of both those together.
Back in the day when I first started doing this, you couldn't find so much.
You know, so we were all running on massaged over leaf springs. We'd get a great big leaf pack and take a couple springs out, and you know, we had to just do a whole lot of backyard ghetto fab trying to make stuff work. Just because everyone around, you know, everyone I knew had the same basic budget I did. Not a whole lot to play with, but we wanted to go fast. So we figured out ways to do it.
Now it is relatively easy, as long as you can afford it, to buy the parts to build anything you want.
Able to get a lot of wheel travel and have a really, really smooth ride and still be able to use the truck for what it's for and still have it drive perfect at 100 miles an hour down the freeway with a 4-inch tire on it. So I think that's the biggest difference, is gaining wheel travel.
I think tools have come a long way in technology.
Yes. No more air powered. Everything's electric.
No dragging air hoses.
Yeah. Electric stuff is awesome.
120 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah.
The things that someone has sat back and created for us to be able to build the things that we do is just insane. 10 years ago, to have a plasma, for cutting metal, you didn't have, something the size of a suitcase now that can cut through 1-inch steel plate. Tube benders. 10 years ago, we were using a pipe press, from Harbor Freight because if you wanted to bend tube, that was the only feasible means you could do it without breaking the bank. And nobody knew anybody that had a tubing bender, so you had to do what you had to do. Welders now that are capable of welding, half-inch, three-quarter-inch plates steel in single passes. That's impressive. That's amazing. And even some of the stupid hand tools that I've seen in the last year.
But it's handy technology. It's portable. It's small.
Tiny.
It's
The
light.
batteries last all day.
You can put it in your race car and change a tire with an electric impact.
It's amazing what is accessible to us at our level nowadays.
Just because we've excelled in technological advances, though, doesn't mean we still don't have the instinctive desire to be better and to win the battles we face. Perhaps it's taught, or perhaps it's inborn to our nature. Nevertheless, it's there.
These men are friends. Force them to fight till one of them is killed.
I can forgive such a display only once.
What's happening? That's the trailer ball.
What's that? It's a triox compound. It'll help you breathe.
So, winner again. Any winning speeches or words?
Don't get slammed by me.
Anything else?
I kind of want to get to your weight class.
So no matter the battles we face, no matter our drive to win, what we build and what we accomplish is a result of improving and simplifying our ability to do things. And it ultimately forces us to progress and better ourselves, be it our own personal egos or the devices around us we use to better our way of life and living. None of us are perfect. None of us can always be the winner or get our way. But life's struggles make us learn and grow to better ourselves and to better the human condition in the end, be it men, women, or alien.
Captain's log, stardate 3025.8. A planet which seems to be paradise is chosen for a shore leave, but things of fantasy, which are undeniably real, suddenly appear.
Sulu!
Enjoy yourself, Captain. It's an interesting planet. I believe you'll find it quite pleasant. You'll have no problems.
I swear I heard someone moving around.
Don't talk like that.
I used to feel surrounded by jeeps, but now I'm surrounded by samurais.